Grivante Press presents The Zee Brothers, Revenge of the Zombie Yeti. Part 1, Sasquatch Society. Jonah hauled ass around the corner of the building, nearly falling on the slick ice, but slid into and used a light post to jettison himself forward. "Get in, Sasha!" he shouted at Judas, who was 100 yards or more away. Judas stood next to their truck, Sasha, relieving himself and watching the snow fall as it covered the bumper stickers which covered the truck's hood. His head bobbed as he listened to the stereo through the open driver's door, oblivious to his brother's shouts. The Scorpions' Bad Boys Running Wild played. Another shout from Jonah as he drew nearer caught Judas's attention. He zipped his pants and turned toward the sound to see Jonah running and shouting at him. Why's he running? Judas pulled out his can of chewing tobacco and slipped a wad into his lip, licked the crumbs off, and spat. He could hear Jonah clearly now and saw him waving to get in the truck. He climbed in, scooting to the passenger side while glaring at the steering wheel and shifter. Jonah dove in a moment later, slamming the door behind him and smacking his hand on the stereo, turning off Judas's music. "What is it, Jonah?" "Fast ones." Jonah cranked the ignition. "Fast what? I thought we were here to plow the parking lot." "Zombies." "Really? I've never seen a fast one. I thought you said they weren't real." Judas glanced out of the window, still seeing nothing but the wall of falling snow. "They aren't." "Then what are you talking about?" Judas reached over to click the stereo on. "I was listening to that." A large gray blur came around the same corner Jonah had just come from and charged right for them. Judas's eyes bulged. "What the hell is that?" Jonah rammed the 8-ball shifter into reverse. "A Yeti." "No way!" The 8-ball window displayed, as I see it, yes. Jonah shot the truck backward in an arc, spun around, and looked out the rear window. "Shit, here he comes!" The truck jolted as the large gray mass jumped from 10 feet away and landed on Sasha's tailgate. The brothers exchanged, "oh shit" looks, then Jonah gunned it. "Where's your shotgun?" he yelled. Judas glanced around a second and slammed his fist against his knee. "I didn't bring it. This was supposed to be a snow removal job." The truck jolted again, and Jonah turned on the headlights and windshield wipers. On top of the 500-pound zombie Yeti in the back of the truck, it was snowing hard, and they had a large industrial snowplow with attached snow thrower mounted on the front of the truck. It was the worst blizzard the slopes around Flagstaff had seen in years. Snow removal was one of the many odd jobs the brothers did to make ends meet. Sasha slipped and slid like a drunk woman dancing as Jonah tried to lose the monster in the bed of the truck. "Get Brutus out of the glove box!" Jonah slammed the wheel hard to the right, sending the truck into a spin, but unfortunately not with enough force to knock the dead Yeti out. The force of the spinning smashed Judas against the passenger door. He reached up and opened the glove box, grabbing his brother's large revolver. The turning slowed enough for him to roll his window down and lean out. He spat out a long strand of black goo and took aim at the beast. It lumbered forward in the bed, raising one of its giant mitts to slam down on the cab. Blam! Judas fired, and a large portion of the creature's furry fist disappeared in a spray of red mist. It roared in pain, reared back, and Judas fired shot after shot. The bullets tore apart its arm, taking chunks of fur and flesh with it, until finally, the last shot caught the beast square in the face. Brutus clicked on an empty chamber. The undead beast hung there a moment, teetering in the truck bed, then fell with a splat out the back. "Got him, bro!" Judas slipped back in the window and rolled it up, shivering off the snow that covered him. "What the hell is going on? Where'd that thing come from?" Jonah slowed the truck, turning it around in the back half of the large parking lot they'd been hired to keep clear for the weekend. I went inside the hotel to find the guy who hired us, to let him know we were getting started, make sure everything was squared away. They were having some sort of banquet for their Sasquatch Society. He shook his head and put the truck in first gear. Only there were these guys on stage saying they had the biggest revelation in the society's history. They pulled back the curtains, and there were these two massive forms laid out on tables. The audience gasped, then stood up, applauding like crazy. Judas's head nodded as he listened, his brow furrowing as a question formed. Jonah gave the truck some gas and gently moved back the way they'd come. The windshield wipers flew back and forth, working overtime to keep the snow clear. So I'm standing there waiting, and these guys in black robes come out on stage, some sort of high elders in their society or something. The room goes silent, and one of the speakers says they will finally find out the secrets of these elusive creatures they have hunted for so long. The guys in the robes start doing a chant and waving their hands around the bodies and such. Then, "Wait!" Judas interrupted. "You said 2?" In front of them, Sasha's headlights illuminated the falling snow in the darkness, making it look as if they were driving through some sort of sci-fi hyperspace. "Yeah, 2 of them," Jonah continued. "The elders were up there chanting, and then the first shape sits up, slow and confused, looking around. There's another gasp from, "Jonah, should I be reloading, Brutus?" Jonah looked at him and nodded, before continuing again as Judas rummaged through the glove box. "So the crowd let out a gasp, then the second one rose. I'm standing there shaking my head and moving back toward the exit when the first one reaches over, grabs one elder, yanks him off his feet, and shoves his whole head in its mouth. A woman screamed, and that creature bit it clean off and hurled the rest of him into the crowd." They approached the large mass of the fallen Yeti's body, becoming visible through the falling snow. Blood stained the snow around it. Everything went crazy. People screaming and running. The 2 undead Yetis jumped off the stage and were tearing people in half, ripping through the crowd and sending pieces flying like they'd broken open a human piñata. I was naked as hell without Brutus, so I ran. I looked back right before I rounded that corner to see one of them coming out of the building and starting in my direction. Jonah? Judas pulled a small box out of the glove box and rattled it back and forth. "There's only 4 bullets in here." Jonah looked over at him as Judas took the handful of bullets and loaded them into the revolver. "Shit." A gust of wind parted the snow before them, revealing, a dozen yards away, the body of the Yeti that Judas had brought down. Standing directly behind it, a much larger, furious Yeti, wearing a coat of red fur dripping blood, stood the second one. "Oh, shit!" the brothers cried out. "What do we do, Jonah?" Part 2. Zombie Blender. Jonah slammed the truck into reverse and floored it. The tires spun on the snow-packed pavement, moving only a few inches in their intended direction. The magic 8-ball offered the advice of, "Cannot predict now." The creature before them leapt over the dead body and charged at the truck. "Shoot it!" Jonah yelled. Judas rolled the window down and leaned out, firing before he even looked to see where he was shooting. Blam! The gun thundered, the first shot missing. The second grazed the creature's midsection, the third blasted a hole into its shoulder, and the fourth missed altogether as the beast collided with the large plow on the front of the truck, sending them spinning. Sasha slid across the iced-over pavement like a clown on ice skates, going one direction and then another as Jonah twisted the wheel, trying to gain control. The tail of the truck bed slammed into a pile of snow, and the force of the abrupt stop sent the dead Yeti flying away into the darkness. The brothers, both dazed, stared out into the torrent of snowflakes falling in the headlights. "Where is it?" Judas asked. "I don't know," Jonah answered, and realizing Sasha had died during their little spin cycle, started her back up.
Is there more ammo for Brutus in here?
Judas asked. Jonah's hands felt around the pockets of his jean jacket, and he shook his head with tight lips. No, I should have made sure we loaded up before heading out.
Who would have known this was going to happen? We're supposed to be here removing snow, not zombie Sasquatches.
Jonah opened his mouth to correct his brother when a roar sounded from the snowy darkness. Instead, he only muttered, Always come prepared for anything. The blood-drenched Yeti emerged into the beams of the headlights. Where's your .45? Jonah asked, slipping Sasha back into first gear.
It's on the kitchen table. I was cleaning it when you came in and said it was time to head out.
Jonah sighed and gave Sasha some gas. Probably wouldn't have helped anyway. Some problems you have to meet head-on with what you got. Judas looked at the Yeti, then at Jonah.
What are you doing?
Jonah didn't answer. Instead, he reached below the stereo and flipped a switch. A loud, whirring motor kicked in, and the headlights dimmed as power shifted to the X-150 snow thrower and its auger blades twisted and churned in the snow. White powder shot out of the chute attached to Sasha's right side. The distance between the truck and the roaring Yeti shortened in a blur. Boom! The truck smashed into the beast, knocking both of the brothers forward, just like when the plow clips a large rock. Judas's hand smacked the stereo, turning it back on. A blast of rock music shot out of the truck's speakers. The creature's chest and head were above the plow blade on the driver's side, and its fists slammed on Sasha's hood, smashing it in. Its hands were mammoth, with 2-inch-long claws jutting out at the tips. Its talons pierced through the metal of the hood, tearing through the bumper stickers as it clawed its way over the plow blade. The speakers blasted the classic Scorpion song, Rock You Like a Hurricane, one of Judas's favorites. God damn it! Jonah yelled. Judas stared, mouth hanging open.
Jonah!
Jonah grabbed the gray plow controller and tossed it to Judas. Shake that thing around! We gotta knock it into the snow thrower! Judas pushed and stabbed at the buttons, sending the large plow blade first upward, smacking the monster in the head, and then to the side. The creature screamed, but held fast with one giant clawed hand clinging to Sasha's crumpled hood. Jonah had the truck rolling again. Put the blade all the way down! Let's plow this bastard right into the blender! Judas pressed the button and sent the blade plunging into the snowpack. Sasha instantly slowed under the increased workload, the roar of her engine drowning out the cries of the beast. The plow dug into the snow, pushing a mound of it and trapping the legs of the Yeti. It screeched and thrashed as the snow built up behind it, pinning it in place. Jonah grinned and pulled a cigar out of his pocket. Turn the blade to the right! Judas did as he was told, shaking the snow from the open window off his face. The shift of the plow blade pushed the snow and the zombie Yeti straight toward the churning blades of the auger. The whole truck shook. The gears and blades of the snow thrower screeched as it crunched through the flesh and bone of the undead beast, sounding like it did when they hit a patch of gravel. The equipment choked as it ground through the abominable beast's massive body, and Jonah floored the truck to give it all the power he could. The creature shrieked, its body being pulled down and away, and its claws tore through the dented hood until finally it disappeared below the top of the blade. The snow thrower blasted a spew of chunky red soup from its chute, sending a fine red mist out over the white landscape and into the passenger window. Judas spat and sputtered, wiping the red glaze from his cheeks.
Ugh! What a mess!
Jonah stopped the truck, clicked off the stereo, took a long drag on his cigar, and hopped out. He looked back and saw the red streak stretching out behind Sasha. It disappeared into the darkness of the falling flakes. Judas got out and circled around to join him in surveying the carnage and remains of the twice-dead beast.
Looks like Sasha's going into the shop again, huh?
Yeah, Jonah said, taking another long puff on his cigar and examining the tattered remains of the hood.
God damn it,
he spat.
What's the matter, Jonah? We got him, and she can be fixed.
Yeah, I know. He shook his head.
But that bastard ruined some of my favorite bumper stickers.
Inside Sasha, the small window on the magic 8-ball rolled over and displayed the message, "Without a doubt." Did you enjoy this Zee Brothers story? Want more? Visit www.grivantepress.com/audio for all the latest from the Zee Brothers and Grivante Press. That's www.grivantepress.com/audio. Thanks for listening.